Y'all, can I tell you about these Tecovas boots? I don't know if y'all know this, but these boots are handmade, high quality, stylish, and comfortable right out of the box. I know we buy everything online these days, but boots are something you really should get fitted for. And it just so happens Tecovas is based right here in Austin. So come shop with me at the Tecovas store on South Congress or the Domain. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Austin, it's the Friday News Roundup. I'm here with Nicole Cobbler of Axios and executive producer Eva Ruth Moravec to bring y'all some news from the week. We're talking about a bombshell report on a certain city council member's absences, the state's latest anti-trans policy, and the return of a beloved downtown late-night staple that was said to never close until it did 13 years ago. We'd like to thank Tecovas, our exclusive launch sponsor. It's Friday, September 6th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Eva Ruth.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
We're so glad to have you here. We're so excited.
Woohoo, a guest.
Yeah. Is Nicole our first, official guest on our Friday News Roundup?
She is, yes.
Wow, I'm honored.
Yes.
The pressure's on even more now.
No, it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, off top, there's a big story that KXAN's Grace Reader reported that is really making some waves. Now, full disclosure, I used to work for Council member Natasha Harper Madison, and she is a longtime friend. She's also the person who is at the heart of Grace's story. And the story is about and I'm putting this in quotation marks, y'all can't see it, about 40 council meetings that KXAN looked at since the start of 2023. And they, quote, found that Councilmember Harper Madison has been absent from council meetings more than every other city council member and the mayor combined by double.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah. So quick bullet points. Since 2023, which was the start of her second term, she has attended 8 meetings virtually and missed 10 altogether, according to their count. And those absences include several last year where the council member took medical leave. And she told KXAN then that the leave was for mental health treatment. One resident who, full disclosure, I also know who this person is. I'm walking a tightrope, y'all. I also know who this person is because I was there. One resident was quoted saying, "We don't have representation because of Harper Madison's absence." But, she came out, made her mental health public, and was also attacked for making her mental health public, which reminds us of Judge Lena Hidalgo in Harris County.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she is the only Black council member on Austin City Council. And also, she is a breast cancer survivor. And also.
And a native Austinite?
And a native Austinite. We grew up down the street from each other.
Wow, really?
We didn't know each other when we were kids, but we've been friends for over a decade. She grew up on the side of town that she represents. But depending on who you ask, she is at times treated differently than the other council members. I think the overall ask here is, I don't know the best way to say this. How does not having a city councilwoman present as often affect the district? Mm-hmm. Now, I have to say, the article doesn't say anything about her missing votes. And so we don't know how many votes she's missed, right? Or if she's missed any. But because in order to vote, you don't have to be present at City Hall, but you do have to be on camera.
Right.
So even if she's not, you have to look at the graph. They have a whole graph. Go look at the article. There's a graph where there's some that she was virtual, some that she was in person, and then some she missed altogether. So if you are not if they cannot see you, if you're not visible, whether it's in person or virtual, you cannot vote. But there's no rule that says that she has to be there in person.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it matters. And like, that's what people elected you to do, is go to council meetings. But I don't know. I was just thinking about this story, and kind of broadly speaking, I think what really matters to constituents is that they can call their city council member's office on a day-to-day basis and say, hey, there's a pothole outside my road, right? That like needs to be fixed. What really matters, I think, is that you're able to reach your city council's office and get your individual needs met. And I think that's what people really care about. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but
yeah,
I think where this does become an issue for her would be if she were up for re-election and there were mailers being sent out or something, which is not happening. She's not up for re-election. There's no mailers being sent around that are saying that she's not showing up to meetings. But I think that's when it will really count.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think you're right. The day-to-day, are the roads drivable? Are our sidewalks okay? Are our needs being met? I think, like, there's so much that you can do remotely these days, right? And like, you miss a meeting, you have the packet, you can watch the video and catch up on the conversation, and almost be like you are there. But that takes more time to do all those things. And then also you're missing out on the discussion part of it, and like trying to figure out what you don't understand, and, just kind of being a part of like that whole thing happening. So I don't know. I hear you. It may not be like she's missing any votes, or not keeping the roads fixed, and she has staff members probably keeping her office going, even whether or not she's there.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point. Okay, so two things. To your point, Nicole, like, your staff, every council meeting has staff that handles the day-to-day. That's the constituent services liaison. That was what I used to do. So when you called her office, you talked to me. When you emailed her office, you talked to me. And her office is not the only office that it works. That is how it works in the totality of city council. Everybody has a person that does policy, a person that does comms, and those are the people that handle those things. And so, I will not ever, I will offer to my own horn, but the district court office team, and I've said this before, in every iteration has been packed, so while I worked there, with just some of the most incredibly driven, responsive people that I've ever met in my life. And they're there, and they're dialed in, and they have, they want to help. That's the nature. That's why you take the job, honestly, because it ain't for the money. It's not for the fame. You take the job because you want to help people. But, so when you call into your city council office, your needs are being met by her team, her staff, right? The hard part about that is also that people want to see their city council member. That was one of the things that I saw and heard a lot, is that we don't see her anywhere. And so, because I think in our brains, if you don't see someone out talking, listening, engaging, then it feels like they're not. You know what I mean? And so that's where I think the part comes in, where when she is, and I can tell you unequivocally, when she is at those council meetings, she's not on camera, but she's listening. She's sending us, did you hear that? Go talk to that person. Go give that person your card. She's listening. She's paying attention. But at the end of the day, the people that are there in the building need to see it. And I think that's human nature. I think human nature is like, if you're representing me, I'm here. Why aren't you here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, regardless of what we know she's doing on the back end.
Oh, yeah, it matters.
The constituents are like, I don't see what y'all are. Yeah, I don't see y'all running around like ants. I don't see that happening. Mm-hmm. All I know is that my representative is not here.
Yeah.
And did this story get into the other things that she's available for? I don't think it did. Like, is she going to press conferences or?
Grace mentioned that she was not even. The one thing that I saw was that she's not including like committee or work sessions. in the count. And, but that was kind of the point, was she had this narrow meeting focus. But yeah, obviously the job entails a lot more than just...
Yeah.
But it's the most visual representation of you doing your job as a city council member.
Right. No, I think she got really lucky that this story is happening when she's not up for re-election.
Exactly.
Yeah, unlike the other 5 positions on city council.
Yeah.
And also, Eva Ruth, you bring up a great point.
Thank you.
Everyone else is very active. Like, if you think about your Vanessa Fuentes, your Chito Vela, they are everywhere. I would look up sometimes and I'd be like, what is he doing? Like, they're in the community. They're connecting. They're talking. They're showing up at events, right? And so it goes back to that visibility. Now, mind you, the D1 team is always out and about, always showing up.
That's part of the team's job, is to be where she's not, like, be an extension of her, I guess. But
it's not the same as the real thing.
No.
Yeah, it only goes so far.
It only goes so far. And that is, I will, in all complete, utter honesty, is one of the reoccurring things that, feedback that we got in the office was just like, we want to see her more. And I know that's difficult too, because, mental health is a big thing when you're a public. It's a tightrope. When you're a public elected official, you do sometimes feel like you have a target on your back, and you do sometimes feel like you can't do anything right. And you add to that she's a woman. You add to that she's a Black woman. And you know what I mean? Like,
it's like, you signed up for it. Did you not know what you were getting into? Yeah. But does that mean that you should just be open to any kind of anything? It's, especially these days, it seems like it's a harder job.
And I think, to your point, an answer to your question, my opinion, no.
Yeah.
I don't think she did know what she was getting into. I genuinely don't. I've always said that I hope that Councilmember Harper Madison is healthy and well and wonderful. And shout out to her team, because they're just, and not just her, your city council members, period, in Austin, their teams, their offices have some of the hardest working people I've personally ever met. So, shout out to the supporters. Shout out to the offices that and shout out to Grace for putting her neck out there, and because she caught some heat on Twitter. Like, shout out to Grace for...
Yeah.
Grace reported a story that people had not gotten into. It was out there. It was all public information. She just used, she packaged it in this way, and she got a lot of heat. It's obviously something that a lot of people in Texas or in Austin are concerned about right now.
Another thing that is definitely on my radar, and I think a lot of people's radar, is, it's been a really tough summer in general, but especially for trans Texans. Coming off of a legislative session in 2023 that was really, really hard. And then now over the past few weeks, we've seen more reporting on new policies that have gone into effect in Texas state offices affecting our trans Texans. And the latest one is that transgender Texans can no longer change their sex markers on their driver's license or their birth certificates. There are an estimated, 858,000 LGBTQ plus Texans, representing about 4.1% of the state population. Of that number, 125,350 are estimated to be transgender. These are the people that feel safe identifying as such.
Right. Good point.
So that's also another thing to keep in mind. These are the people that feel safe saying, yes, I am LGBTQ plus.
In the whole state of Texas, we're talking about just over 100,000 people who are affected by these continued policy changes, laws.
Right. Austin Round Rock, Georgetown metropolitan area has the third largest percentage of LGBTQ plus people relative to the overall population size of the metro area. In the country, after the San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, and Portland, Vancouver, Hillsborough metro areas. Compared to the state of Texas, the Austin, Round Rock, Georgetown metro area has a higher density of LGBTQ plus people, of course, relative to the total population. That means Austin is gay as hell. That's just all these numbers mean that we are very gay. There's a lot of gays. I know we like numbers, but
yes.
Transgender Texans, especially those of color, face a disparate level of racism, social stressors, economic insecurity, and access to needed services. Nicole, like you wrote something that Texas led the nation in proposed anti-trans legislation last year.
Yeah.
Even if few of those become, those bills become law. We all know the stats. And so there's a little sliver of hope in Austin. Austin itself actually has good bathroom laws, for instance. Single-stall bathrooms are not allowed to be gender-specific per city code. And you can report it to 311 without feeling bad, and they'll send somebody out. There's no fines or anything as long as they change their signage within 30 days. City Council passed a trans resolution in May. Except to the extent required by law, it is the policy of the city that no city personnel, funds, or resources shall be used to investigate, criminally prosecute, or impose administrative penalties upon one, a transgender or non-binary individual for seeking health care, which is huge, or two, an individual or organization for providing or assisting the provision of health care to a transgender or non-binary individual. And further, the city shall not terminate or limit the eligibility for city funding, such as grants or contracts, to an individual or organization for seeking, providing, or assisting with the provision of health care to transgender or non-binary individuals. Shortening all that means Austin realizes that we are very gay. And so it's doing whatever it can in Texas to just try to make things a little fairer on the law side. My question is, can the city of Austin really even protect trans Austinites from the state?
When it comes to like birth certificates and driver's licenses, it's like that's through the state. So, yeah. And I mean, Eva Ruth, you've written a lot about this too, I'm sure, about the legislature just continuing to scale back what authority cities have over everything. So, like resolutions like that are really important, but in the way that it really counts for trans Texans, you see that scaled back again and again in Texas. And then other red states follow that.
Yeah, the local rights only go so far. Local protections only go so far. So, I mean, curious how this plays out, right? I'm curious, like, there's already been some reporting that's been in Axios and in other publications as well about Texans who are choosing to leave the state because they are worried about their kids or they don't feel like they have rights themselves. I mean, not being able to have your birth certificate be changed to reflect your identity and your driver's license. These are documents, but they're also so much more than that. They are like the baseline for so many different decisions and choices. And so it's has to be pretty demoralizing and feel bad. How do y'all think it'll play out?
I mean, what's wild to me is that, and I might be oversimplifying this, I can get married to somebody and decide that I no longer want my name to be my name because I want my name to be their name for no other reason than just tradition tells me that that's what I'm supposed to do. And there's no issue with that. I don't understand what is the big deal other than people's own prejudice. You know what I mean? That people are in the right places having a problem with the issue. So it's
a message.
It sends a message. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I know plenty of LGBTQ plus people that are also moving and they've decided that this is not the place for them anymore. And so I think the big question is like, what are the long-term implications of this? We're a city that talks about our diversity and we talk about how welcoming we are and how nice we are and how great we are. And we try. We do. To your point, Nicole, a lot of the stuff is just the state runs it. It's like our hands are tied in a lot of ways. And so I'm curious what this means to our diversity, what this means to our community, what it means to our city at large.
I was also looking back at our previous reporting on this. We had a story about transgender Texans deciding to leave the state, like we're talking about. And one family that we talked to had a transgender child, and they were like, we just don't feel safe here anymore. And we also don't feel like we can make decisions about our child's health care and, receive like gender affirming care for our child. Oh, and I was reading that they're just on the note of like what does this mean for people like LGBTQ Texans long-term in the state? There is a Dallas-based realtor who's created a service called Flee Texas, and it is to aid LGBTQ Texans that need to sell their property, and they're looking to connect with like a realtor who's an ally or LGBTQ.
Wow.
What?
That's crazy.
I love that.
So, I mean, like people, this is a real thing.
Maybe there are people that are wondering, like, outside of voting, what can individual people do to help the trans community in Austin? And I think, for me, I think a big start is just like have conversations. Have conversations with the people in your life. There are definitely some people in my life that I've had to have hard conversations with about transgender people and pronouns and non-binary people. And I just have those. I just dig in. I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need you to come to my side. But I do think it's important for us to have those conversations. If you do not have any transgender people in your life or LGBTQ plus people in your life, maybe start there. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like maybe figure out why.
I'm torn between wanting to tell people to mind your own business and also what you're saying, Nikki, like get to know other people. Be open-minded and be friendly with other people and just try to meet them where they are,
Right.
Yeah. I think like a big part of it too is just like educating yourself and understanding, like you're saying, it's such a small part of the population. But if you're going to have an opinion and a feeling about what needs to be done about a certain part of the population, like you should probably understand who you're talking about. And it's important, too, to realize how much these things affect the mental health of the people that these policies are directly affecting. Like we've done a lot of reporting on the Trevor Project's different studies about, how at risk, especially transgender children are for just like tons of mental health issues and suicide. It's really serious. I mean, these things are affecting real people.
My heart goes out. Every time I see something, I think about my friends, and it really, and also, it's my community and it feels, I know what it feels like as someone who is Black. I know what it feels like to have that target on your back. You know what I mean? And just feel like, Jesus Christ, can I get like a second? Can I get a minute? Can y'all leave me alone? So my heart goes out, and I love you guys, and stay gay.
Keep on staying strong.
Yeah, for real. So I want to talk about something that makes me feel a little happier.
Let's do it.
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. So I love a good comeback story. So I know some of y'all might remember, if you've been in Austin for a while, Katz, also known as Katz never closes. Y'all remember that? They had like a catchy little...
Yes.
Oh my God, I love Katz.
I can't hear Katz without Katz never closes.
Yeah.
It's all together.
It all goes together.
And then they did.
And then they did.
Y'all, Katz is coming back.
Bow, bow, bow.
After leaving us high and dry, swearing they'd never close 13 years ago. Swearing they closed. They closed in 2011, but they are back. So the beloved New York Deli style restaurant is opening sometime after 2025, and they are going to be in the same space that they were before, which makes me incredibly happy, on 618 West 6th Street. It is going to be open 24/7, all-day breakfast, matzo ball soup, which I've never had, but I've heard it's good. Reuben sandwiches. Y'all, the milkshakes. Those of you that don't know about Katz's, Katz's opened in 1979, closed in 2012, much to my chagrin, because the owner, Mark Katz, he just wanted to leave the business. He then filed for bankruptcy. The restaurant was liquidated. Mark's son, Barry, told Eater Austin that the same building came up for auction, and he had memories of working there when he was young and ran that location from 94 to 2000. And so they brought the building at a bankruptcy auction, which is kind of depressing.
I must pause for a moment.
Yes.
Because, like, first that they got their same building back, which, by the way, is in a really fantastic location for getting a snacky snack after you've had too much to drink. So they got the building because it was up for bankruptcy auction. It was part of Nate Paul's portfolio. And Nate Paul is this, like, very controversial developer who got into cahoots with our Attorney General, Ken Paxton, was a part of, like, Paxton's whole impeachment trial that was in Austin last year. So it's a funny state versus city weird thing happening.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So the building where it used to be, just first of all, used to be a bomb corner. So Katz's is on the bottom, and there was this club called Momo's on top that was like live music and jazz and stuff like that. I was in an all-female a cappella group. We performed there once. Like, that little corner used to be just like the hot spot. Since then, it's had its fair share of weird bars.
Lots of changes.
Green Light Social Club. Now, I will say Green Light Social Club was the first time I had adult Capri Suns. So RIP to the adult Capri Suns. But it's been, I feel like it's been struggling. That corner has been struggling for a while. So I'm really excited that they are taking it back over.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be fun. I think it'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Is this across from, like, Buford's?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Directly across. Yeah.
Okay, that could mean good things for them. I feel like all the UT students that go over there, they'll need a late night snack. This could be really good.
It's going to be really good.
That's what it was. Like, it was always in the entertainment district, or part of, like, the downtown scene. And a 24/7 restaurant where you could get a pastrami sandwich or a milkshake or fries, all of the above at 2 a.m.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Listen, so you know that Buford's used to be Opal Divines, right?
Uh-huh.
And Opal Divines for a really long time was like, so like after Katz's closed, Opal Divines opened up, and it was staying open till like 1:32, which at the time was a huge deal. There was no food open that late.
Yep.
And I remember the first time after Katz's closed that I tried to go to Opal Divines to get some food, and I didn't realize Katz's had closed, and and they had announced it. Like, everybody was like, "It's going away. Go get a sandwich before whatever." And so I go over to Opal's. It's like right before the witching hour, so it's like 12:45. And I have no shade to Opal Divines, but I have one of the worst sandwiches I've ever had in my entire life.
Oh, no.
And I remember being drunk, eating that sad-ass Opal Divine sandwich, looking longingly over at the Katz's Deli that was closed.
Oh.
Yeah, if it's bad when you're drunk, too, it's bad.
That's so sad. Yeah.
Y'all, Katz's is so good. It was so good.
It's going to elevate late night dining in Austin.
Nicole, you said you've never been to Katz's, right?
I've never been. I was still living in Victoria.
Eva, I know. Do you have memories of Katz's? I know you do.
I have one very vague one because it was Katz's downing a sandwich. And I think there was a milkshake involved as well. And yeah, I remember just being like, where are we? Because it had this very kind of New York style deli feel to it. And it just felt so different from Austin.
It was huge.
Yeah, it was huge. The ceilings were tall, like really tall.
Y'all, I loved it.
Yeah.
What we would do is we would go to the club, we get out of the club, whatever cute people we saw at the club, we'd tell them to meet us in Katz's. So then we would be in Katz's, and then we'd see the cute boys that we invited to Katz's, and they would sit in another booth, and then we would awkwardly act like we didn't know each other and hadn't been grinding on the dance floor for the past hour and a half.
Oh, the lights are on. How weird.
Yeah. It's like, oh, these are very bright lights.
Oh, never mind. That wasn't me.
Yeah. And there was just like always a moment where either one of us would go to their table or one of them would come to our table.
I mean, I'm sure it's a different place. It will be a different place at like 7, 8, 9 p.m. than it will be, 3 to 5 a.m.
And the waits were crazy because they were packed. And but nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
It surprises me, but I'm very excited.
Stick around, people. Don't leave Austin. It's going to be here in about 2 years. So
just stick around for 2 years. So before we go, I saw something today that I feel like we should talk about or just like briefly mention. Barton Springs Pool will likely be closed for several weeks coming up because they found 2 large holes in the pool. Mm-hmm. Over Labor Day weekend, 2 holes were found in a 1940s pipe, the city said. And the water was pulled into an abandoned pipe below the pool's dam. Anyway, Saints, they're closed. They're going to be closed.
It's so sad. That's how you know the summer is officially over.
I know.
Yeah.
We're done here.
And there's no way I'm going to go to Deep Eddy. Everyone's going to be going.
Everybody.
Yeah. Like, it's going to be too much.
And Deep Eddy, they changed their hours. They're opening at 6 a.m. to accommodate swimmers.
Yeah.
Here's something else you can do this weekend, actually. Since you can't go to Barton Springs. Here's your Takova's Don't Go Gently segment of the week. We're dedicating this week's Don't Go Gently tip of the weekend to Austin's Mexican free-tailed bat colony. The 1.5 million creatures that call the Ann W. Richards Congress Avenue Bridge home for a few months every year. To celebrate the end of their Austin staycation, join the fun on Saturday at the Bat Fest for music, activities for kids, food, drinks, and bats, which fly out from under the bridge about 30 minutes before sundown. It's actually really cool. It doesn't smell great, but it's awesome. Tickets are $30, costumes are encouraged, and the music starts at like 3 p.m. Headliners include Paul Wall, Pecos and the Rooftops, Ghostland Observatory, and DJ Grip. Don't go gently, go into Covas. Nicole, Eva Ruth, thank you so much for rounding up the news with me this week. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. Our executive producer is Eva Ruth Moravec. Our producers this week are Lizzie Goldsmith, Zoe Culkin, and Joyce Tang. I'm your host, Nikki Devon. Our Hey Austin newsletter editors this week are Kelsey Bradshaw and Adrian Gonzalez. Music is by Nelson Valente Aguilar of Como Las Movies. We'll have links to Nicole's social media and work in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter so you can tell Kelsey Bradshaw happy birthday. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.